I'm not some kind of sage on the stage here. I'm just like more of a guide on the side. I'm not here to, tell you what it's like. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just going to be sharing with you this evening what I've learned over the years that have helped me to develop really wonderful relationships and to reconnect with that part of me that's, we're all looking for connection in our life. I've got a bit of a fan over there. Okay. So one of my great teachers from high school actually taught me once. He said this really great quote, and I always remembered it because it started like this. Minds are like parachutes. They only function when open. Isn't that a great one? Because our minds can prevent us from connecting deeply with people, with others, with ourselves even. And so this evening, I wanted to share with you not only like material ways to connect with other individuals, but we're also going to dive deep into the spiritual aspect of connection. Not just connecting with people and ourselves, but I'm going to go deeper. So let's begin. First of all, I've got a few questions for you all. Why have you come here? Have you come here just to check it out? Maybe you've come here to be entertained. Maybe you've come here to be informed or to be transformed. So I am here today just to, help you to maybe check out different ways of thinking, different ways of having a mindset that's conducive for your own personal growth journey. Who here's, maybe on a path to looking for something better in life than what we're experiencing in everyday life? That's right. We're all looking for that like fulfillment, that satisfaction, that connection. We're all looking for it. It's deep inside of us, and it's in everyone. Everyone is longing for that connection. It's even there in cats and dogs. I mean, you know your dog, right? He loves you. He looks up at you and he's like, will I get some reciprocation? Will I connect with my mate, my best friend? And he's just like, yeah. And when he gets happy and he's like, yeah, love you, I love you, I love you. Even dogs love. All animals, all living entities love. And we all want that. So, just going over my notes. I don't usually follow my notes, actually, by the way, guys. I am very spontaneous. And so I'm going to do my best here to make some sense of my notes. Because I've got my notes on my paper, got my notes on my computer, had my notes on the phone. So I'm just going to be a little spontaneous, if you bear with me. Okay. I haven't given a class up here for like 2 years, so thanks. Thanks, guys. All right. So what are ways, like just on the low level here, like on the ground level, what are ways that we can actually connect with other people? Can you raise your hand and tell me what are ways that we can connect? Listening. That's a really great one. Yes, because we tend to want to talk about ourselves, and we tend to even sometimes cut people off when they're talking. I've done that before, and I'm still working on it. Because it's so easy to just for some people, But some people are really great at listening, and those people are great connectors. Any other ways that we can? Yes.
Like hugs, touching.
Oh yeah, that's true. We have these material bodies. It feels good, doesn't it? It's one of the love languages. There's like 5. Anybody heard of the 5 love languages? Yeah, but 5 love languages. There's like, I'm gonna name them just for those of you who may not have heard of the book. Hi guys. I do remember talking about that book with you all, I think. So there's touch is one of the love languages. There is words of affirmations. Just speaking, hearing nice words, it's really nice. Like for me, I love to be told, Vitaly, you look really nice today. It really, presses my buttons in the right way. Hey. Some of you know my husband is. So words of affirmations, touch is also gifts. Giving gifts, receiving gifts. Gifts are also ways to show our love. There's also, let's see, the acts of service, yes. Yeah, doing something nice. It feels good to do something good outside of your own comfort zone, because we're so used to serving ourselves. We're so used to doing things for ourselves, but for some people, when somebody does something for them, it shows, like they feel loved. And the last one is time, quality time. Yes, that's my husband's one. Quality time together, making an effort to not just be in your zone of comfort, but being there, just being present is a great opportunity for connection. Just for being there for somebody else, to listen to them, to just that presence is really important. Any other ways we can connect with people? Yes? Love, yeah, for sure. Showing love, yeah. Well done, darling. So yeah, there's different ways, and even connecting on a material level. Like for years, I had some issues with myself. Like I just felt like really uncomfortable looking at people in the eyes. I just couldn't do it. There's something about me that I was like, I don't feel comfortable looking at people in the eyes. What if they judge me? I don't know what I was thinking, but I just couldn't do it. But it came from me. It just came from me being insecure about myself and about who I am, or I don't know. I didn't feel like I should connect. I don't know what it was. But now I'm actually quite comfortable looking at people in the eyes, because it's a way of really listening to people, of connecting with them on a deeper level. And it's really been amazing. Once I started getting over my insecurities and started moving forward, and just started growing myself and learning tips and techniques on just personal development and developing myself spiritually, but also materially, and how to connect with people. And it's been a game changer. Just being able to have a conversation with somebody and look at them in the eyes is awesome. Yeah. There's also body language can be a way of connecting with people. You may be like, having your arms crossed, it's kind of closed-minded, it's kind of like, I'm not open. But if you're open, you're gonna maybe mirror what they're doing. You're gonna be just smiling. Smiling is another good one to connect with someone. If you've got like somebody speaking to me and I'm like, nah, it's not really gonna work, is it? I don't think so. So we have to be conscious of what we're doing, conscious of how we're behaving, how we are speaking, how we are showing up in the world. And sometimes it may mean that we need to tweak our internal self-talk, tweak our the way we see ourselves actually matters. If we think lowly about ourselves, if we don't feel valued, if we don't feel worthy, we'll show up in the world in that way. And we won't connect as well as someone who's confident, who's developed not just skills, but just an inner sense of, I feel good about myself. And I'm going to go out there and share myself with others. And I'm going to be of service. I'm going to be somebody who's shining, someone who's high vibing. Have you heard that term? I've got all my notes, but I'm not following. I'm just going with the flow here. And did you know that emotions are energy in motion? Have you ever felt that? Like maybe you've experienced that, how let's say we've got, like just before, I had a few butterflies in my stomach before I came in here. And I had to take a few deep breaths. There was one of the guys like next door, he was like, just take a few deep breaths. So I was like, okay. Just being transparent here. I love speaking, but you know, I don't, yeah. Okay, focus. Back to my notes. What was I saying? Oh, sorry. Oh, yes. And I really wanted to do a presentation with visuals and stuff, but I didn't get the chance because I'm filling in actually for this awesome international speaker that was meant to be here. But that's another note. So high vibes. So emotions are energy in motion, and we can feel it in our bodies. Sometimes we have fear, we feel it in our stomach. Has anybody felt fear in their stomach? Butterflies, a little bit of anxiety, hands become clammy, just you feel different heart vibrations as well. Or maybe sometimes there's love in your heart and you feel like your heart is opening up and you feel warm in your heart, not just, but yeah. And so vibrations, emotions, vibration. The thing is, there's low frequency, because everything is energy in this world. Everything we know in physics, we learn in high school, everything is like energy in motion, and energy is just transferred, you know, cannot be extinguished. Well, even in, you know, spiritual circles, we talk about spirit and matter is one thing, and then there's spirit, which is energy. Anyway, I'll talk about that later. But the higher vibes we go up, the better. So we've got these low frequency emotions, which are like anger, fear. Can anybody name others? Greed, shame, guilt, sadness, lust. Yeah, it's all kind of low vibing. But the higher we go, the better we do. And so we need to keep our vibes vibing high. In order, that's not written in Bhagavad Gita, by the way. Just so you know. But this is just stuff I've learned on the side. But it makes so much sense because, yeah. So the happier, the more gratitude you develop, the more you'll be vibing high. The more you'll be open to receiving and open to connecting with spirituality. In the Bhagavad Gita, though, 100% is written about the laws of nature, the modes of material nature. There's 3 of them. There's the mode of ignorance, low vibe. Ignorance, low vibe is like, you're just closed-minded. You're not like a parachute. You're closed. You're not open to things. You may be indulging in intoxication, drugs, sleeping all day, things like that. Low vibe. But the more you go up, a bit of passion, the mode of passion is like, go, yeah, I'm gonna do lots of things. And you make it happen, and you just work. Or party. That's the mode of passion. So slowly we gotta raise our consciousness up to the mode of goodness. And the mode of goodness is love, gratitude, things like that, high vibing emotions. And then even beyond the 3 material modes, so this is in the material realm, then you can go and jump up to the spiritual realm. But yeah, that's another topic I'm going to talk about later on. But yeah, so we want to kind of raise our vibration. And the higher we go, the easier it is to connect and to reconnect. Because I don't know about you, but I do want connection. And, it's not easy. It's not easy to maintain that. And so, yeah, often when we find it hard to connect is often because we're focusing on ourselves. We're focusing on our own bodies, looking after number one, where we can become a little bit selfish. And the more selfish we are, the more focused we are on number one, on our own needs, on our own problems, on our own self, the more we don't connect with others. So the more you're open to giving, the more you're open to listening to others, the more you're open to connecting on a higher vibe, the more you'll be connecting. Easier, it'll be much easier. And there's one quote from an author that wrote a book on connection, and I read it a few months ago, and the title of the book is called Many Communicate, but Few Connect. And that's all materially speaking, but he talks about those who lack humility are dogmatic and egotistical, that masks a deep sense of insecurity. So a lot of people are insecure out there. We've been smashed so hard the last couple of years, being told, stay at home, stay safe. We become insecure when we've been told all these things. And we've lost our sense of connecting. We've been on Zoom, we've been working remotely on our computers. And I mean, I know some of you work full-time on, remotely from home. And we lose connection with human beings. But that connection with human beings is so important. We need connection. We need to be with other people. We're not just made to live on our own in a cave or something. We are full of beauty. We're full of talents and skills that are meant to be shared with the world, not just to play small. And that comes because we are not just these bodies. We have a body, we have a mind, but our bodies are only the vehicle for who we really are, that eternal self that's in universal teachings amongst so many different traditions in the world. They talk about that non-material self that's eternal. One of the things when I started practicing Bhakti Yoga and chanting Hare Krishna, that was just about 17 years ago. It was a long time. But I've learned quite a bit. And one of the first things I do remember back in 2005, I think it was, oh my gosh, it's almost 18 years ago now. But I do remember hearing about the modes of material nature, and I do remember hearing about that non-material self, how we are spirits in this material body, and kind of hit me. Everything that's material has a beginning and an end. Everything material grows, maybe reproduces, like a tree is like a material thing. It grows, it can have seeds, fruit, and reproduce again. But trees also can have diseases, and they can also die. All living entities go through the same cycle, whether you're a vegetable, a plant, an animal, an insect, or a human being. We all go through these cycles of, being born, growing, perhaps reproducing. Even plants, reproduce, and animals, obviously, and obviously human beings. But everything about this body is temporary. Old age is there. My grandfather just left this world about a month and a half ago, and he was almost 96. That's a very long life. But by then, his body was no longer functional. It was very, couldn't walk, he couldn't really eat properly, he couldn't function. His body was breaking down like this old machine, like an old car, Cars need fixing up, cars need tune-ups, but at some point, they are total, they're finished. And same with our bodies, like at this vehicle for the soul. And it really made so much sense when I started reading Bhagavad Gita and hearing about, in chapter 2, the impermanence, or the permanence, the eternality of the soul. And you can hear all about, so in so many different cultures, we hear about reincarnation and things like that, and karma and things like that. But the soul by nature is eternal. It never can be burnt by fire. It can't be moistened by water. It's eternal. And that's why we are longing for deep, loving connections that don't break down. But we are conditioned, we're living in this society where we've got pressure, we're our minds can be our best friend, but sometimes it can be our worst enemy. And that's in chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita, learning about the mind and how to tame the mind. And so it's not an easy task. It's very hard. Actually, Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, he asks about the mind, and Krishna tells him, actually trying to control the mind is harder than controlling the raging wind. It's a very hard thing, but we can practice. We can develop control of the mind. And by controlling our minds, by reigniting our relationship with ourselves on a spiritual level, it's going to be a lot easier to connect with other people as well, because you can see this is not just a body, this is not just a machine, this is a person, and persons are all unique and individual and special. And so we need to, high vibe, we need to show respect and care and be open to serving others, to being there for one another, to be grateful for every moment that we get. I wanted to share this one story, how back in the day, before, because I wanted to tell you guys, I'm from Canada. You probably noticed my accent. I've been here for almost, 17 and a half years or something. But I came from Canada and I did my university degree in film animation. Back in the day, thinking that I could change the world through film and, make documentary animated films or something. And then I realized, oh my gosh, that's so much work. It's a lot of work to do animation. And I was like, forget that. I'm gonna go find out about who I am and why I'm here. And I was looking for more meaning in my life. Yeah, and then I decided to come travel. And I chose New Zealand because anyway, along my travels, I traveled a little bit in Canada and I bumped into this Kiwi girl named Sierra. And Sierra was from Auckland. We were traveling together. We just made friends spontaneously. We connected pretty well. We were on the same kind of page. She was a bit of a musician. I was a bit of a musician. Well, I wanted to be a musician. She was into yoga, and I was like, I like yoga. I had just only started to practice a bit of yoga. And she was also into just similar things. And we were the same age as well. So we were like, yeah, sisters from a different mother. And we kept in touch. And then 3 years later, I finally came to New Zealand. And I felt like really there's a reason why I've come to New Zealand. I don't know what it is. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's to find love. I was thinking, because I was looking for connection. But in the end, I definitely did. I found love, but I also found spirituality. I found my deep inner fulfillment, my purpose. I found my purpose, actually. And that's why I'm still here. I'm very close to my family. I connect really well with my family, but I knew I couldn't be there because I had found my tribe. I had found the people that I connected with the most, that had knowledge that I had been looking for my whole life. Knowledge that once I applied some of these teachings and realized that I'm not just this body, I'm a spirit soul. I'm so much more. I've got great things to share, and it's amazing. Then I was like, no, I need to stay here. I need to learn more. I want to learn more about this. And I ended up meeting David Raithaswamy, who is meant to be here speaking tonight. He will be back at some point. I'm not sure when, but yes. So my story I wanted to share about connection was that before I came to New Zealand, a few months beforehand, I had heard about this awesome music festival called Shambhala. Does anybody know about Shambhala? Well, Max, the Canadians know about Shambhala, because Shambhala was huge back in the early 2000s. I think it's still going on, and it's just grown and grown. But back in the day, in 2004 or 3, when I went, I had heard it's amazing. There's 5 stages of music, and there's just so much amazing people, and I was like, yes, I want to go. That was before I knew anything about bhakti and things. And I ended up buying a plane ticket because Shambhala is actually in the middle of nowhere on farmland in British Columbia. And I lived in Montreal, out in Eastern Canada, and that was all the way like Western Canada. And the ticket to attend was about $200 to attend to the 3-day festival. So I was fully committed. I was like, I'm going. And I bought a plane ticket, which was pretty expensive. They didn't have these low fare tickets back then. I think they're only just introducing these low fare Canadian flights, intercontinental. Anyway, I ended up going, and I was so ready for connection. I was so ready to, I went on my own, but I was like, yeah, I'm gonna meet some amazing people. I might find a buddy. Anyway, but I was gonna go ahead and dance and just vibe and jive with the vibe. Sorry. But yeah, and it flopped. I got there with such high expectations. I got there, I was like, wow, there's some pretty cool people. But I had this, just too high expectations that by the end of the festival, by the end of the 3 days, I was like, so disappointed. I was just, maybe I was just kind of focused on myself too much, maybe a bit egotistical, I don't know what. But I just did not connect with as many people as I wanted. I did have fun on the dance, dancing and stuff, but ultimately I came back home with like maybe $800 spent and nothing to show for it. And I felt empty. I felt more than anything, I felt like, gosh, what next? What now? I'm sure I'm more than, meant for bigger things. Anyway, I wanted to finish, I'm not quite finished just yet. I can go on and on and on. But there is a few things I really wanted to say. And one quote. Now, she's not a bhakti yogi, she's actually a politician, to be fair, and she's also she's an author of a book, and she's a speaker, and her name is Marianne Williamson. She's kind of big in America. She's from America, and she's got this amazing quote that I wanted to share with you, because she is a spiritually minded person, and she talks about things about ourselves, and she talks about fear and our greatest fear. So I just wanted to share this quote with you all. And she says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant and gorgeous and talented and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of the Divine Supreme. Your playing small is not serving the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We are born to make manifest the glory of the Supreme that is within us all. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And that's a little bit what I was talking about with, vibing high. The higher you vibe and you vibrate at a higher frequency of, starting your day off with being grateful, starting your day off with smiling, even though you may not feel like smiling. If you just smile, it automatically raises your vibration a little bit more. And when we vibe high, it's actually contagious. I've experienced that for myself. I've been really I've been conscious of that a little bit more lately, of how my energy affects other people around me, and my emotions and how I'm feeling. And it's definitely, I don't know, have you noticed?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I've just been the more positive you are, the more you radiate joy and you're shining. Because we're all meant to shine, you know? We're not meant to just play small. We're meant for greater things. We are all meant for greater things. And ultimately, we want to rediscover who we really are and reconnect with that relationship we have that's been lost. And my last people, I am going to keep a little bit of time for questions, but I did want to say that, you know, ultimately, in the greater scheme of things, we are in these material bodies right now. We're sitting at the loft right now, in this moment. Yes. But what are we going to do when you leave this room? What are you going to do? Are you going to just be like, well, that was pretty cool. That was interesting, informative. Or are you going to do something about it? And there's a description that's from the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedas and the Bhakti texts that talk about how we are like a drop of the ocean. We've got the same qualities as the vast ocean, but we're tiny, tiny. And in Bhagavad Gita, it describes that the supreme, the ultimate goal, the source of who we are, is also seated. Sorry, I'm French Canadian, can you tell? I'm seated. So the Supreme is seated like a bird on a tree. And we are there on the tree, like another bird. So we are the bird as spirit soul, and then there's the Supreme, who's also a bird. And he's the witness. He's witnessing us. He's calling us. Come on, look at me. I'm here. And we're just like busy doing our own thing. We're busy just being self-absorbed, being like, ooh, I look good today. But we're not meant to just be self-absorbed and just focusing on ourselves. We're meant to be serving others, because ultimately that's where the joy comes from, being there for other people. And it's also described, not just the tree and the heart, but also it's like okay, imagine a tree, and there's many hundreds of leaves on the tree. And what happens when the leaves start falling off the tree? They're disconnected. The leaves are disconnected from the tree. What happens to the leaf? Anyone? It dries up and it just shrivels, and it's lost its connection, it's lost its juice, the life juice. And here we are in this material world, disconnected from our source. And deep down inside, not necessarily you guys necessarily, but a lot of people are shriveled up, dried up on the inside because they're super disconnected from their ultimate source, their ultimate purpose. And so our goal is to reconnect like a plug and get that juice back that we are all looking for. We're looking for tasty, delicious juice. You know, we're looking for experiences that's gonna enliven us, and we're looking for connection. And ultimately, we are looking for that connection with our supreme friend, our best friend, that we've been trying to avoid, and we've been trying to be like, no, I want to do my own thing. I want to be independent. But being independent is nice for some time, and then once you realize that actually I'm not on my own, I have my best friend waiting for me. And he's just waiting for me to look at him and be like, hey, I'm here, I'm yours, and you can do whatever you want with me. I'm your servant. That's what it explains in the Bhagavad Gita. We're all, even though we don't like the term, oh, servants, I don't want to be a servant. I'll do my own thing. Yes, we do. That's why we're here. But if we realize that our dharma, our real position in this world is to serve others, and that by serving others we become happier, then life is good. It's described how our dharma is to serve. Like the dharma is like your eternal essence, what you're meant to be doing in this world. So for water, the dharma of water is that it's wet. It quenches the thirst. When we drink water, it quenches the thirst. It nourishes all living entities, plants, trees, animals. And so, yeah, ultimately we're looking for that juice that's going to satisfy our thirst, the nectar. Yeah. I had another little point on that, but I went a little bit further than I thought. There's another analogy that's talked about in the Vedas, you could say, or the ancient wisdom of yoga. And it talks about how we came from the spiritual world and we decided to leave the spiritual world to come to earth, or to the material. Okay, so there's like the spiritual world and the material world. That's a big topic, by the way. You can ask questions later. But we've come here, but we're separate from where we came from. And it's a bit like a fish. A fish belongs in the ocean. The fish is comfortable swimming in the ocean. That's where it belongs. But as soon as you take that fish out of water, it starts to not be very happy. It starts to jiggle and wiggle and struggle because it can't breathe air. It can only function in the water. That's where it belongs. And so it's like us, we've been taken out of our real environment where we can actually be happy and really be fully connected with who we are. But we've been taken out and we decided to try it out on our own. And so, hey, maybe it's working out for you, maybe it's not. But hey, what I do know, just to kind of wrap up, and I'll leave a couple of minutes with questions, is that, yeah, ultimately, the more we connect with the loft, the more we connect with who we really are and kind of start becoming aware, because from awareness becomes, we can do something about it and take action. And the more we chant this mantra, Hare Krishna, this Maha Mantra is very special. It's actually known as, Maha means the greatest or the great mantra. And mantra literally means to free the mind. Pretty amazing, isn't it? So when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, we're actually taking the first steps to reconnecting with our real identity of who we are. And we are also reconnecting with the source of who we are, which is Krishna. Krishna is a name for the supreme, the divine, the supreme person. We're all looking for a personal connection. We don't like to be treated like a thing. We don't like to be treated like when somebody blanks you, you're like, hey, I'm here. It hurts when we've been ignored. We want to get attention from somebody, not just a dog. So yeah. Yeah, so I encourage you to try it out. And chanting can be done individually, like on beads, which we have here at the loft, but it can also be done in kirtan. Kirtan literally is like a chanting together. And the more you forget about how you look and how you sound, because it's not about having a great voice, the more you sing with your heart, and the more you sing with enthusiasm and you kind of try to vibe high, because if you're vibing low and being like, oh, I'm ashamed of my moves, my dance moves or whatever, you're not gonna feel it. But so let go of any thoughts that your mind can come up with and just be like, hey, I don't mind about this. I'm just gonna chant. I'm gonna try to experience what this mantra is all about. And the more you chant, the more you'll feel amazing and you'll feel really happy. And I know for me, when I was first experiencing this chanting, I was like, wow, it's really awesome. It just was next level. And I'm sure that some of you who have been coming here for a while, maybe a few months, maybe a few weeks, who here has experienced something in kirtan? Anyone? Oh, I'm not the only one. Kirtan is very powerful, it's awesome. Okay, I want to stop here and I'll ask if there's a few questions before we move on to some kirtan. Yes.
Yeah, that was so interesting, and I love how you talked about like the low vibration, high vibration. And I know like isn't the top like enlightenment, right? So that's like the spiritual part.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, like, what do you think is for you? What's like the first step to enlightenment in someone following a spiritual journey?
It's a really great question. Thank you for bringing it up because I didn't really talk about how the top point of the triangle of vibing is that's tapping into that spiritual emotions. But enlightenment has different meanings, you know. In Buddhism, they talk about someone who's enlightened, who's fully self-realized, who's getting out of this cycle of birth and death and is ready to move on to the next, after this body is finished, they can go back to the spiritual world and they're fully enlightened. Buddha talked about that. Now in our sphere and in our path or bhakti, we don't necessarily use the term enlightenment, but we talk about self-realization, realizing who we really are, being in knowledge that not just hypothetically or what's the word? Yeah, like theoretically, we know that we're not the body, we're spirit souls, but the more you actually practice bhakti, the more you chant, the more you get knowledge from the books that we have, the more you'll actually get a taste of what it's like to be free from the mind and the body. But it takes time. It's not going to take a few weeks or a few months or even a few years. I've been practicing myself for 17 years and it's a constant work in progress. You know, I can't say that I'm fully realized at all, but I've definitely come a long way from when I was at the Shambhala festival. Did that answer your question? Cool. Anything else? We've got a couple of minutes. Lenny.
So what was your first practice when you came here and you discovered the Lord? What was the first thing you practically did?
Somehow, one of the first things that I did was I committed to be vegetarian. I wasn't vegetarian full-time, 100%, but I called myself a part-time vegetarian. But because I started tasting the amazing food at the loft, I was like, wow, it's way easier than I thought, actually. And it takes commitment so I made that commitment. I was like, all right, no more animals. I'm done. I just want to, and by doing that action, that activity, I definitely felt like just a little bit more compassion within myself. And but also the chanting. I started chanting pretty quickly and I was just chanting a little bit at home, maybe 10 minutes a day. And then I slowly was like, this is awesome. And then I started doing like rounds on the beads but I just love the kirtan. I was like, wow, this is awesome. Because I come from a Catholic background and I used to go to church and I was in the choir and I did love being in the choir. I definitely enjoyed it, but yeah, it was just a different flavor, you could say. So when I got to taste the flavor of kirtan and singing and dancing in a different path, I was like, I connected that I'm just like doing my choir singing, but I'm doing it with a whole bunch of people that may not necessarily sing in key or whatever, but it doesn't matter. We're all saying the same thing and it was amazing. I just had to, so that's my answer to that.
Thank you. Is there time?
Oh. Sure.
So I was just wondering if some of us we decide to apply the techniques that we've learned to connect with others, but they're not reciprocating with us the way that we would like to, how can we not blame ourselves and become discouraged to connect with others?
Wow, that's a good one. Well, that's one thing I actually had in my notes, totally, I didn't really read my notes. But in my notes, I had about how when we are seeking connection, we can't blame other people for not reciprocating the way we want. Because we have these expectations, but when we're trying to connect with others, all you think about is giving, just give. Because by giving, you'll automatically receive. And try to be open that, yeah, respect that maybe people, that you may have a conversation with someone and it's not going the right way because of their stuff. Because if they may be vibing low or something and you're like, hey, but I just want to connect here and blah, 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 blah. But they may not be on the same page, and just respect, just be like, hey, they're just not where I'm at. There's no reciprocation here for what I want. Respect, hear them out, maybe repeat what you heard, maybe, but don't take it personally. Because when people are not connecting and they may be aggressive or just not listening to you or whatever, that's their stuff, that's not you. So you have to kind of be a little detached. But it's
Without
hard,
expectations.
yeah. That's what there's so much more I could say about that, but we have gone over time a little bit. So, thank you so much